morning. We're going to get started. Members will take their seats. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes the Reverend Bonnie Camarda from the Salvation Army. She is here today as the guest of Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez. I would ask all guests, members, and visitors to please rise. Reverend.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our prayer today comes from Psalm 9. It says, I will give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart. I will tell of all your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing the praises of your name, O Most High. My enemies turn back. They stumble and perish before you. For you have upheld my right and my cause, sitting enthroned as the righteous judge. You have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. Endless ruin has overtaken my enemies. You have uprooted the cities. Even the memory of them has perished. The Lord reigns forever. He has established his throne for judgment. He ruled the world in righteousness and judged the people with equity. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Those who know your name trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Father, we just thank you for this body. Lord, and I pray that their work will be guided by your principles, that they will look after the widow, the orphan, and the disfranchised, with equal consideration given to the special to everyone. Be mindful of the words in this Old Testament, and let you reign in our city. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend, for those inspiring words. Council will be at ease. Thank you. And again, Reverend, thank you for those inspiring words. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 6, 2019. And the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of Thursday, June 6, 2019 be approved.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 6, 2019 stand approved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and our journal is approved. And our next order of business is request for leave of absence. And the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
President, on behalf of the majority, leave is requested for Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Councilman. The record shall reflect that leave shall be granted. And chair now recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Republicans, there are no requests for leave of absence.
Chair thanks the gentleman. At this time, I would like to dispense with the regular order of business And I would like to welcome, and I want to thank everyone for coming down today to witness your government in action. We genuinely appreciate you being here. We hope your stay here today is a knowledgeable one, but more importantly, a pleasurable one, so much so that you come back again. So again, thank you for being here. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass, who will present a resolution honoring community leaders. With Dr. Arlene Bennett and those accompanying her, please join the Councilwoman at the podium. And joining Councilwoman Bass, we have Councilman O, Councilman Taubenberger, Councilman Greenlee, Councilwoman Blackwell. And also have Councilman Squilla, and also joining the Councilwoman, our honorees, in addition to Dr. Arlene Bennett, we have the Reverend Frank Crangle, Oliver Adams, Nate Mr. Miller, also known as Champ, Bishop Leonard Goins, and Reverend Joseph Williams. True honorees. Good. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, one of the things that we love to do in the 8th District is recognize the folks who have been out on the ground doing hard work in our communities for a very long time. And these are our unsung heroines and heroes that have been working diligently throughout our communities. And we wanted to take a moment once again and say thank you to a group of individuals who have really left their mark on the 8th District and continue to do so. I don't want to say past tense because they continue to do so up until this very present moment. And so we wanted to recognize folks from the community, and we want to read this resolution, which reads, honoring and recognizing Dr. Arlene Bennett, Reverend Frank Crangle, Oliver Adams, Nate Mr. Miller, Bishop Leonard Goins, and Reverend Joseph Williams on their legacies of leadership and achievement in medicine, sports, the arts, and community service in the city of Philadelphia. Whereas in 1964, Dr. Arlene Bennett became the first African-American female to graduate from the University of Pennsylvania's Perelman School of Medicine. Dr. Bennett considers herself fortunate to have grown up surrounded by accomplished and supportive women and never felt restricted by the gender and racial biases of the time. After graduating, she completed her internship at Pennsylvania Presbyterian Medical Center, followed by a residency in psychiatry at Eastern Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute. She has been an active staff psychiatrist at Pennsylvania Hospital since 1980, a clinical associate at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania since 1977, and continues her work in private practice. And
whereas Reverend Frank Crangle joined the Philadelphia Police Department in 1982 and later the Philadelphia Police Chaplains after accepting Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. He rose through the ranks and now serves as president of the 14th Police District Chaplains, where they hold prayer walks, visit the sick and infirm, and encourage officers, local ministries, and community groups with words from the Bible. Reverend Crangle praises God for his continuing to bless his ministry and also for those he has put in his life, including his pastor, fellow police chaplains, Police Commissioner Richard Ross, and other city leaders. He stands willing to help without hesitation whenever called upon and trusts God to always lead and guide him in all things. And
whereas several decades ago, Oliver Adams, who owned a successful bakery in Northwest Philadelphia for over 30 years, came up with the idea of a national symbol which recognizes the diaspora of Black Americans. He believed that the term Afro-Americans more accurately reflected the many nationalities that encompass African heritage, including, to name a few, Jamaicans, Haitians, Canadians, Ugandans, Somalians, and Liberians. In 1987, Mr. Adams copyrighted his logo, "Thank God I'm an Afro-American." A copy of the logo hangs in the Martin Luther King Jr. Library in Atlanta. He continues to market his logo nationwide and hopes it will become a national symbol for Afro-Americans in the United States and around the world. And
Ms. Mill? Nate, I'm sorry. Hi, how are you, sir? Okay, good. Whereas the boxing legacy of Nate Mr. Miller began in Germantown, where a troubled kid off the streets grew up to look at the world in a different way. Mr. Miller started turning his life around when he began training as a teenager at Happy Hollow Recreation Center, where he eventually became a Golden Gloves champion. His first title came from the North American Boxing Federation in 1989 on a 7th-round knockout of Burt Cooper. In 1995, when he was 31 years old, Mr. Miller won his first world title, knocking out Orlin Norris in the 8th round to take the WBA Cruiserweight crown, and defending his title 4 times before retiring in 2001 after accumulating a record of 31-9 with 27 knockouts. And
Whereas in 1982, Bishop Leonard Goins founded Chestnut Hill Church of God in Christ, which began as a storefront church at 22 East Mount Airy Avenue and is now the headquarters for the Lion of Judah Pentecostal Churches International. Bishop Goins came to the Lord at a very early age, and his love, devotion, and desire to spread God's holy word culminated with his ordination in 1971. Bishop Goins serves as the state evangelist for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Churches of God in Christ, president of the Philadelphia Law Enforcement Clergy Support Unit, and founder of the Pentecostal Clergy Political Advisory Council of Philadelphia, where he continues to provide a voice for Pentecostal churches among the city's political, social, and economic institutions. And
whereas Reverend Joseph Williams served as pastor of the Mount Airy United Fellowship Church and had experienced a memorable journey from music to ministry as the youngest living member of the legendary group, the Dixie Hummingbirds, a pioneering force behind the modern gospel quartet whose imaginative arrangements, progressive harmonies, and all-around versatility made them one of the most successful groups of their era. Reverend Williams started singing when he was 5 years old and would eventually travel the world as a professional singer, joining a number of popular groups of the time, including the Gospel Stirrers and Sons of the Birds. He later recorded with the original Dixie Hummingbirds before being called to the ministry. Therefore, be it.
Thank you, sir. Resolved, the Council of the City of Philadelphia honors and recognizes Dr. Arlene Bennett, Reverend Frank Crangle, Oliver Adams, Nate Mr. Miller, Bishop Leonard Goins, Reverend Joseph Williams on their legacies of leadership and achievement in medicine, sports, the arts, and community services in the city of Philadelphia.
And further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to each honoree as evidence of the sincere respect and admiration of this legislative body. Congratulations to all of our honorees. And I did want to add that Dr. Bennett has been really like a mother to me and a mother figure. So I'd like for her to come forward and I know the council president will recognize her, but I did want to acknowledge that I forgot to have her come forward when we were doing the resolution, as well as Minister Crangle. And so I have, like my mom, and also Bishop Goins, who is like my dad. So they're both here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can you speak? Please proceed.
Thank you. President Clark, members of council, and fellow citizens of Philadelphia. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. It's a pleasure and an honor to speak in behalf of my fellow colleagues on the stage. Our commitment to Philadelphia is unending. I think we all accept our work as a calling, and we will continue to do everything that we can to leave the world and Philadelphia a little better than what it was when we first came. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council will be at ease. Thank you and congratulations. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Jones, who will present a resolution recognizing the Father's Day Rally Committee. With Bilal Qayyum and those accompanying him, please join the councilman at the podium. And joining the councilman, we have Councilman Green, Councilman O, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilwoman Parker, Councilman Johnson. And Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez and Councilwoman Bass.
So, out of all of the titles that I've had in my life, none is greater than the title of father to me. When you fly a plane, you need a license. When you drive a car, you need lessons. When you have a block party in the city of Philadelphia, you need a permit. But to be a father, there is no experience required. Some fathers that I've met that have been slightly derelict in their duties, leaving those responsibilities to the mother, and they gave me an excuse of saying that I can't afford to be a father. I would submit to them and those who are listening that you cannot afford not to be a father. The cost to those young people and society is too great in the absence of a father in a household to balance the dining room table in a household, too often left up to the mother. For those out there that will be experiencing Father's Day with the title, quote, stepdad, you get 2 thumbs up because you signed up voluntarily for that responsibility, and kudos to you. So, recognizing the Father's Day Rally Committee for its 30th year of existence, highlighting the importance of fathers in our city and in our community and nationally. Today we have Qasim Ali, Vernon Brown, Kevin Bell, and our own, there he is, Bilal Qayyum. And I want to say, are we still having the Father's Day softball game? Do we intend to win this year? All right, thank you. We won last year?
There's a person standing near you who was out there.
Yeah, so maybe it's because I didn't come to the game we won. Is that what you're saying? I'm coming this year. All right, recognizing and celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Father's Day Rally Committee and their efforts and initiatives that have positively impacted the quality of life of African American communities and men of color in the city of Philadelphia and the Delaware Valley region.
Whereas the Father's Day Rally Committee was created 3 decades ago by a group of African American men who saw the need to develop meaningful programs and activities for the African American male population of Philadelphia, and
whereas the founding members of the Father's Day Rally Committee were Dr. Thurman Evans, Reverend Clarence Hester, Steve Pena, Vernon Price, Bilal Qayyum of the 9th Councilmember District, and Reverend Henry Wells. And
whereas the mission of the Father's Day Rally Committee is to promote positive action and interaction among individuals, to prompt a more aggressive, hands-on approach toward resolving a range of problems confronting African American communities, such as violence and a lack of effective youth mentorship. And
But take a point of personal privilege and personally thank the Father's Day rally. It's been almost a decade, right, Bilal? They started the Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente exchange, and I've been happy to participate in that, and I value and appreciate the fact that the strong African American male leadership thought it was important enough to reach out to Puerto Rican and Latino men, and I appreciate that personally and on behalf of the men, the fathers in the Latino community. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Whereas, since its creation, the Father's Day Rally Committee has initiated several valuable programs, such as the David P. Richardson Jr. Rites of Passage program, which caters to African American males ages 11 through 18. The program focuses on helping youth with the transition into responsible manhood, and
whereas the Father's Day Rally Committee also created, quote-unquote, Operation Footprint, a mentoring program for high school students in Philadelphia's public school system, and quote-unquote, Project Safe Life, an initiative offering counseling to at-risk males, teaching nonviolent alternatives to confrontational behavior, and providing support to men and fathers who have lost a loved one due to violence. And
whereas the Father's Day Rally Committee has also coordinated several events, including the Live and Let Live campaign, which was a citywide anti-violence effort to stop senseless acts of violence in our city. Additionally, the organization has an annual Father's Day picnic, which has reached over 10,000 fathers in 30 years to celebrate fatherhood and honor fathers who are making a significant contribution to their families and communities. And
whereas the Father's Day Rally Committee continues to serve as a strong support system for African American men and fathers, helping them to flourish despite the daily pressures of our society. For the past 30 years, the Father's Day Rally Committee has remained committed to reducing violence in our communities by advocating positive interaction among men, and their dedication and achievements should be celebrated. Now, therefore be it.
Resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that it hereby recognizes and celebrates the 30th anniversary of the Father's Day Rally Committee and their efforts and initiatives that have positively impacted the quality of life of African American communities and men of color in the City of Philadelphia and the Delaware Valley region. Further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to the Father's Day Rally Committee as evidence of the sincere respect and admiration of this legislative body.
Congratulations.
And the chair recognizes Mr. Qayyum for remarks.
Good morning. President Clark and also members of City Council. I want to, all fathers, would you please stand up? If your father, stand up. Thank you very much, because that's the whole mission of Father's Day Rally Committee, is raise the bar for fathers in the city of Philadelphia. You know, when Mother's Day comes around, you know, mom gets everything. We'd be lucky to get a card. And I remember one year, I had 5 kids and 14 grandkids and 2 great-grandkids. And I remember one year, they gave me a clip-on tie. That was my gift for Father's Day. All right? I ain't gonna tell you what I got my wife and what she got, but so we raised the bar in the city of Philadelphia, and we're very proud. This is our 30th anniversary. We also, this year, like we did last year, we have actually a celebration of fatherhood programs a whole week, starting last weekend. Every day this week, there's been an activity with fathers and groups, and some of the organizations with us, with me this morning, are participating in that. And as I speak today, frontline dads are bailing fathers out of jail today so they could be home for Father's Day. They bailed out 5 fathers. Because we got to build a movement, and we've been building a movement in this city to get more men and fathers involved in their children's lives. If we have a father in the house, it's a big difference. All the national statistics show when there's a father around, the child most likely to graduate high school. That child most likely will not get involved in negative behavior and go to jail. That child would live better life, healthy life. So we have to get fathers involved more and more, and fathers are involved. So I would like just to thank council for this resolution. I'm not sure if I'm going to be around for another 30 years, but I would like to just thank everybody for your support and your continued support of the Father's Day Rally Committee and our mission to promote fatherhood in the city of Philadelphia, as well as you heard being very much involved in trying to reduce shootings and homicides in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you very much.
Council Biddies. Thank you and congratulations. This time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are happy today to welcome Pastor Ruth Vincent Washington and the members of the First Haitian Church of God of Philadelphia today in City Council. They are celebrating their 40th anniversary and have done much important work in the Haitian community right here in Philadelphia.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
We genuinely appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. All right. Chair now recognizes Councilman Derek Green.
Thank you, Council President. Last week, myself, other members of council, and the mayor had the opportunity to celebrate the kickoff of Pride in the city of Philadelphia by raising the Pride flag, celebrating Pride Month, which celebrates LGBTQIA individuals in the city of Philadelphia. Later that day, I had a chance to talk with a young man who's a friend of mine, which happened to unfortunately be the last Pride event that he was able to celebrate. Later that day and early that morning, we learned about the unfortunate passing of Dante Austin, a young man who I got to know over the past couple of years. I actually ran track with his father in high school. So there was a memorial last week at William Way Community Center. There will be a service this weekend, and to honor his life and his leadership, not only as a member of the Sheriff's Office, but in the LGBTQIA community, I hope that we can all stand for a moment of silence.
Please stand. Thank you, Councilman. Our next order of business is communications, and the chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms delivers the messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. Mr. Decker, please read those messages.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, pursuant to Sections 4604 and 2307 of the Home Rule Charter, I am today transmitting to the Council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on the following bills. Bill numbers 190253, 190357, 190382, 190405, 190406, 190407, 190408, 190409, 190415, 190435, 190437, 190438, 190443, 190444, 190447, 190448, 190450, 190451, 190457, and 190458. And I'm pleased to advise you that on June 11, 2019, I signed the following bill, which was passed by Council at its session on June 6, 2019, Bill number 190314. And I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Worcester 2 urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 417 East Worcester Street, 423 East Worcester Street, 431 East Worcester Street, 443 East Worcester Street, 5120 Roof Street, 445 East Worcester Street, and 445 Rear East Worcester Street. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3017 North Phillip Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District, and a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Whitman urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2432 South Lee Street, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1309 South 20th Street, located in the 2nd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 2nd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to acquire fee simple title or a lesser interest by purchase, dedication, donation, condemnation, agreement in lieu of condemnation, or otherwise, in parcels of land generally bounded by South Street, the bulkhead line of the Schuylkill River, and Grays Ferry Avenue for public recreational purpose. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Frankfurt Avenue, East Butler Street, Wheatsheaf Lane, and the railroad right-of-way of the former Philadelphia and Trenton Railroad for further conveyance. And an ordinance amending Section 2 of an ordinance, Bill number 170002, approved May 22, 2017, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan Number 269 by relocating the easterly house line of University Avenue from a point approximately 545 feet north of Curie Boulevard to a point approximately 236 feet further northwardly therefrom. by extending the period for compliance with the terms and conditions stated therein. And an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 242 by striking from the city plan and vacating a portion of the bed of Old York Road on the southeasterly side thereof, from a point approximately 55 feet southwest of 66th Avenue to a point approximately 284 feet further southwestwardly therefrom. And an ordinance amending Section 2 of an ordinance, Bill Number 120903, approved January 14, 2013, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades in a Portion of City Plan Number 156 by striking from the city plan 4th Street from Allegheny Avenue to Lippincott Street, and striking from the city plan Lippincott Street from 4th Street to its terminus westwardly therefrom, by extending the period for compliance with the terms and conditions stated therein. And an ordinance authorizing the paving of Sigma Way from Erdrich Street to Tackawanna Street, and Tackawanna Street from Van Kirk Street to Sigma Way. And an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 270 by placing on the city plan Sigma Way from Erdrich Street to Tackawanna Street, northeast of Van Kirk Street, and Tackawanna Street from Van Kirk Street to Sigma Way, northeast of Erdrich Street, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. You have any additional communications?
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Our next order of business will be the introduction of bills and resolution. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning, Mr. President. No bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I introduce 5 resolutions, 3 privileged, 2 non-privileged, and also 2 bills.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
An ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Bering Street, Saunders Avenue, Powelton Avenue, 38th Street, Filbert Street, Sloan Street, Powelton Avenue, and 39th Street.
For the committee.
And an ordinance amending Section 2 of an ordinance, Bill Number 170002, approved May 22, 2017, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan Number 269 by relocating the easterly house line of University Avenue from a point approximately 545 feet north of Curie Boulevard to a point approximately 236 feet further northwardly therefrom.
For the committee.
And a privilege resolution honoring and recognizing math, civics, and sciences charter school basketball team, the Mighty Elephants, for winning the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association Class A state championship.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring the First Haitian Church of God of Philadelphia on the occasion of its 40th anniversary celebration.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring the City of Philadelphia workers and partners for saving lives through their steadfast work and dedicated public service as part of the Office of Homeless Services 2018-2019 Winter Initiative and Managing Director's Office Encampment Resolution Pilot Program.
Also on today's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming the 1400 block of South 50th Street, Reverend Charles Gregory Way.
And next week's calendar, Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I offer 2 resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman.
A non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to dispose of certain properties located in the 5th Councilmanic District, which will be transferred by the City of Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority by conveyance of such properties to the Philadelphia Land Bank.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to city on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 47th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Next week's calendar, Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, 3 resolutions and 2 bills.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance establishing a new Chapter 17-2300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Community Benefits Agreements and requiring community benefits agreements for certain high-impact projects or development projects that receive city support or financial assistance.
Referred to committee.
And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to acquire fee simple title or a lesser interest by purchase, dedication, donation, condemnation, agreement in lieu of condemnation, or otherwise parcels of land generally bounded by South Street, the bulkhead line of the Schuylkill River, Grays Ferry Avenue, for public recreational purposes.
For the committee.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring Bobby Booker as the first African-American female president of the Pen and Pencil Club, the nation's oldest press club.
This week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 2nd Councilmanic District.
And next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1309 South 20th Street located in the 2nd Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 bills on behalf of the administration, 1 privilege resolution and 3 non-privileged.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Oh, I'm sorry. Before you read it, Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. Just want to clarify also on one bill introduced on your behalf.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Councilman. Record shall reflect that. Councilwoman? You got send them up? Okay.
An ordinance authorizing the revision of lines.
Good.
An ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 270 by placing on the City Plan Sigma Way from Erdrich Street to Tackawanna Street, northeast of Van Kirk Street. And an ordinance amending Section 2 of an ordinance, Bill Number 120903, approved January 14, 2013, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 156 by striking from the City Plan 4th Street from Allegheny Avenue to Lippincott Street and striking from the City Plan Lippincott Street from 4th Street to its terminus westwardly therefrom. And an ordinance authorizing the paving of Sigma Way from Erdrich Street to Tackawanna Street and Tackawanna Street from Van Kirk Street to Sigma Way.
Those 3 bills just read by the Chief Clerk will be referred to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 19th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3017 North Phillip Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution appointing co-chairs to the Special Committee on Poverty Reduction and Prevention, established pursuant to Resolution Number 190239, and authorized to hold hearings to propose and implement actionable policies and programs that substantively prevent and alleviate poverty in every Philadelphia neighborhood.
Mr. Decker. Okay. Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution urging Governor Tom Wolf and the Pennsylvania General Assembly to protect and expand the General Assistance Program to provide a lifeline for people with disabilities throughout the city of Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Also next week's calendar. And Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 1 non-privileged resolution that is co-authored by all of the women of council.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A non-privileged resolution urging the U.S. Department of Treasury to reconsider the decision to delay the redesign of the $20 bill to feature 19th century abolitionist leader Harriet Tubman.
Next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Dom.
Good morning, Council President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gimm.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 bills and 1 privileged resolution would like to be recognized.
On the resolution?
On the resolution, and very briefly after both bills are read.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Chapter 91100 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Fair Practices Ordinance Protections Against Unlawful Discrimination by adding a new Section 91133 to require that institutions or organizations that serve youth adopt and make known policy guidelines providing for non-discriminatory treatment of transgender and gender non-conforming youth.
Per the committee.
And an ordinance amending Section 16104 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Gender-Neutral Bathrooms to impose additional requirements regarding installation of gender-neutral bathrooms in city buildings.
For the committee.
And a privileged resolution recognizing and honoring the 50th anniversary of Philadelphia's Public Interest Law Center for its pioneering litigation, which has dramatically advanced the civil, social, and economic rights of communities in the Philadelphia region.
And that will be on today's calendar. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Gimm.
Thank you very much, Council President. The two bills that are introduced expands on City Council's important work in terms of expanding and ensuring the protections for our trans and gender nonconforming communities, especially here in this building at City Hall, and also protecting our youth as they participate and feel like they have full ability to participate in programs and educational programs all across our city. And then I'd like to recognize very briefly Jennifer Clark, the Executive Director of Public Interest Law Center of Philadelphia, who's here in the audience and who will be honored later today with the resolution. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Toppenberger.
Good afternoon, Council President and colleagues. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. For 2 bills and 1 non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Frankfurt Avenue, East Butler Street, Weef Lane, and the railroad right-of-way of the former Philadelphia and Trenton Railroad.
For the committee.
And an ordinance authorizing Frank Strawbridge to own and maintain a sign anchored into the sidewalk in the public right-of-way at 801 Market Street.
For the committee.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Whitman urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2432 South Lee Street.
Next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer 1 bill and 1 non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 242 by striking from the city plan and vacating a portion of the bed of Old York Road on the southeasterly side thereof from a point approximately 55 feet southwest of 66th Avenue to a point approximately 284 feet further southwesterly therefom.
For the committee.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Worcester 2 urban redevelopment area identified by house number and street address as 417 East Worcester Street, 423 East Worcester Street, 431 East Worcester Street, 443 East Worcester Street, 5120 Roof Street, 445 East Worcester Street, and 445 Rear East Worcester Street.
And that will be on next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. I offer 3 privileged resolutions, 1 non-privileged resolution, co-sponsored by Council Members Squilla, Tomberger, Parker, Green, Quiñones-Sánchez, Blackwell, Dom, and Bass.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
A privilege resolution recognizing August 1 through 7 as World Breastfeeding Week and the entire month of August as National Breastfeeding Awareness Month in the City of Philadelphia.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Widows Corporation.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring June 14, 2019 as Flag Day in Philadelphia to celebrate and reflect on the importance of the flag of the United States.
This week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution urging the Office of the Philadelphia City Commissioners to maximize language access services available through the city's new voting machines.
And that will be on next week's calendar. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. We will now move to our reports from committee, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a report on the Committee on Rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Rules reports 28 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Double wow.
Yeah, next week is going to be a long one. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Rules, to which is referred Bill number 190181, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 32nd Street, Market Street, 31st Street, Chestnut Street, 30th Street, and Arch Street, excluding all portions of the railroad currently owned by Amtrak, and Bill number 190232, entitled An Ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Kensington Avenue, Hilton Street, Jasper Street, and Madison Street, and Bill number 190233, entitled An Ordinance continuing the East Passyunk Avenue Business Improvement District beyond its termination date in an area that generally includes both sides of East Passyunk Avenue from the south side of Federal Street to the east side of South Broad Street, certain blocks of streets that intersect that portion of East Passyunk Avenue, both sides of South Broad Street from the north side of McKean Street to the north side of Snyder Avenue, and the west side of South Broad Street from the south side of Mifflin Street to the north side of McKean Street, for which the East Passyunk Avenue Business Improvement District Incorporated, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, is the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district. And Bill number 190250, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 14516 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled West Overlay District. And Bill number 190253, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning by providing for adult care, clarifying daycare as child care. And Bill number 190254, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Knights Road, the Bekesson Creek, and Woodhaven Road. And Bill number 190256, entitled An Ordinance Amending the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Gresham Valley Drive, the SEPTA Chestnut Hill East Railroad, Mount Airy Avenue, Chew Avenue, Johnson Street, Emlyn Street, Carpenter Lane, and the SEPTA Chestnut Hill West Railroad. And Bill number 190305, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Master Plan for Temple University and to approve the proposed addition and infill construction project at 1835 through 99 North 12th Street. And Bill number 190306, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Venango Street, 11th Street, Erie Avenue, and Marvine Street. And Bill number 190311, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 14506 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled NCP North Central Philadelphia Overlay District by prohibiting two-family buildings. And Bill number 190312, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by South Street, the Schuylkill River, Spruce Street extended in Broad Street, and Bill number 190313, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by amending the definition of and regulations for fresh food markets. And Bill number 190356, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14500, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by creating an overlay zoning district entitled WOA West Oregon Avenue Overlay District. And Bill number 190359, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Roosevelt Boulevard, Bluegrass Road, and Grant Avenue. And Bill number 190360, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Old Newtown Road, Tremont Street, Roosevelt Boulevard, Woodward Street, and Winchester Avenue. And Bill number 190361, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 14500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts by creating a new overlay entitled South 9th Street Market Overlay District. And Bill number 190362, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 4th Street, Ray Street, Oriana Street, and Cherry Street. And Bill number 190380, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to define rear streets and to amend requirements relating to parking and ground floor commercial as they pertain to primary frontages and rear streets. And Bill number 190407, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 56th Street, Poplar Street, 55th Street, and Cambridge Street. And Bill number 190408, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Section 14504, entitled NCO Neighborhood Conservation Overlay District, and Bill number 190409, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 57th Street, Springfield Avenue, Cobbs Creek Parkway, and Woodland Avenue. And Bill number 190415, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Tasker Street, 4th Street, Porter Street, and 9th Street. And Bill number 190435, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Summer Street, 32nd Street, Ray Street, and Natrona Street. And Bill number 190439, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14500 of the Philadelphia Code, Section 14516, entitled WST West Overlay District. And Bill number 190443, entitled an ordinance to amending Section 14502 of the Zoning Code, entitled CTR Center City Overlay, Section 14701 of the Zoning Code, entitled Dimensional Standards, and Section 14702 of the Zoning Code, entitled Floor Area, Height, and Housing Density Bonuses. And Bill number 190444, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Ray Street, 17th Street, Vine Street, and 18th Street. And Bill number 190447, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Henry Avenue, Ridge Avenue, Northwestern Avenue, the County Line, Forbidden Drive, and Weiss's Mill Road. And Bill number 190448, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Ridge Avenue, Indiana Avenue, and Hunting Park Avenue. Respectfully reports it as considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the bills that were just read into the record by Mr. Decker, with the exception of Bill number 190233.
Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day. Read into the record, the exception of bills number 190233. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar for today. Bill number 190233 will be placed on our first reading calendar at our next session of council. The chair now recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell for a report from the Committee on Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Finance reports out 13 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Finance, to which is referred Bill number 190229, entitled an ordinance authorizing and approving certain additional projects designated by the City Director of Finance to be financed by the Philadelphia Municipal Authority with remaining proceeds of said authority's City Service Agreement Revenue Bonds, Series 2014B. And Bill number 190358, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 192600 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Business Income and Receipts Taxes, by amending Section 192606, entitled Returns, to revise filing requirements. And Bill number 190383, entitled an ordinance approving the amendment of the fiscal year 2019 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions. And Bill number 190384, entitled an ordinance approving the amendment of the fiscal year 2018 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions. And Bill number 190385, entitled an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2020 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions. And Bill number 190412, entitled an ordinance approving city participation in the Commonwealth's Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. And Bill number 190431, entitled an ordinance authorizing the bond committee to sell bonds at public or private negotiated sale to provide funds toward various capital municipal purposes, providing for appropriations to the Sinking Fund Commission for the payment of such bonds, authorizing agreements to provide credit or payment or liquidity sources for the bonds in connection with issuance of the bonds, and certain other actions. And Bill number 190432, entitled an ordinance constituting the 17th supplemental ordinance to the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the mayor, the city controller, and the city solicitor, or a majority of them, to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable airport revenue bonds or notes of the City of Philadelphia, some or all of which may be used for the implementation of a revolving commercial paper program. And Bill number 190433, entitled an ordinance constituting the 18th supplemental ordinance to the amended and restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the mayor, the city controller, and the city solicitor, or a majority of them, to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable airport revenue bonds or notes of the City of Philadelphia. And Bill number 190439, entitled an ordinance authorizing the city treasurer on behalf of the city to enter into an amendment agreement with Citizens Bank of Pennsylvania for provision of payroll banking services to the city. And Bill number 190440, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 193500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Hospital Assessments, to revise provisions relating to hospital assessments, and authorizing the Department of Public Health to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Commonwealth Department of Human Services relating to such hospital assessments. And Bill number 190441, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Director of Planning and Development to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a community development block grant, to file applications to participate in the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and to apply for a Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant, and to file applications with the Commonwealth to obtain grants under the Act of April 12, 1956. And Bill number 190442, entitled an ordinance authorizing the city treasurer on behalf of the city to enter into a provider agreement with U.S. Bank National Association for the provision of custodial banking services to the City of Philadelphia, Office of the City Treasurer, under certain terms and conditions. Respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Finance reports 13 bills with a favorable. And now, Mr. President, we move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the 13 bills that were just read into the record by the Chief Clerk.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the 13 bills that were just read into the record by the clerk. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. The chair now recognizes Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez for a report from the Committee on License and Inspection.
Weighs a ton. That's how important those bills are. They weigh a ton. Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Licenses and Inspections reports 2 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Licenses and Inspections, to which is referred Bill number 181006, entitled an ordinance amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Code, entitled the Philadelphia Building, Construction, and Occupancy Code, by adopting the 2018 edition of the International Fire Code, as published by the International Code Council with previously adopted amendments thereto. And Bill number 190455, entitled an ordinance amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Code, entitled the Philadelphia Building, Construction, and Occupancy Code, by adopting the 2018 edition of the International Plumbing Code as published by the International Code Council as the Philadelphia Plumbing Code, with additions, deletions, and other amendments thereto. Respectfully reports it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit first reading this day of bills number 181006 and 190455.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 181006 and 190455. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. These bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Parker for a report from the Committee on Labor and Civil Service.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Labor and Civil Service reports 1 bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Labor and Civil Service, to which is referred Bill Number 190461, entitled, An Ordinance Amending Section 3, Subparagraph F of an Ordinance approved March 1, 1963 as amended, relating to agreements to administer employee retirement benefits for certain quasi-public agencies, respectfully reports it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of Bill Number 190461.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 190461. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Blondo Reynolds Brown for a report from the Committee on the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on the Environment reports one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, read the report.
The Committee on the Environment, to which is referred Bill Number 190378, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 93400 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Energy Conservation, to establish a solar panel incentive program, all under certain terms and conditions. Respectfully reports it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of Bill Number 190378.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day. Bill number 190378. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. That concludes our reports on committee, and our next order of business is the consideration of the calendar. I note that the bills just reported from committee with suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had a first reading. These bills will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee at this time for a motion regarding bills number 190444.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit an amendment to be offered to bill number 190444 at this time.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All of those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And again, the councilman recognizes Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I would like to offer an amendment to bill number 190444. Copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And bill number 190444 has been amended. Bill number 190444, as amended, will be placed in our final passage calendar at our next session of council. As there are no additional, hold on. Thank you. As there are no additional bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a motion concerning the bills on the second reading and final passage calendar.
I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to considering the following bills on the second reading and final passage calendars. Numbers 190152, 190153, 190155, 190317, 190182, 190206, 190207, 190208, 190310, 181004, 190098, 190119, 190185, 190211, 190252, 190287, 190288, 190289, 190304, 190307, 190309, 190320, 190321, 190354, 190355, 190363, 190364, 190365, 190379, 190381, 190404, 190410, 190411, 190434, 190445, 190450, 190453, 190456, 190463, 190464, 190465, 190469, and 190438.
Second. Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the bills just read by Councilman Greenlee. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries, and we will consider the consent agenda shortly. Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the bills being considered on the consent agenda, the following resolutions and bills are being called up from the second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 190074, 190389, 190479, 190513, 190514, 190519, 190529, 190530, 190299, 181063A, 190099A, 190154, 190290, 190413, 190457, 190458, 190462, 190468, and 190449. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. Before considering these bills and resolutions on our final passage calendar today, we will have our public comment session. During our public comment session, your name will be called. When your name is called, you will go to the middle of the council chamber where there's a podium. There's a device on that podium. When the light turns green, you will be given actually 2 minutes, because we're going to have to alter the time frame given the level of individual has expressed an interest. So I want you all to be cognizant of that. Ask that people who have written testimony to alter your testimony to reflect the 2-minute time frame, because we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak on the list. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your comments. And when the light turns green, fumbling this. When the light turns red, we ask that you please conclude your remarks and adhere to our guidelines. I want to thank you very much for your anticipated cooperation. And as soon as Mr. Decker calls the first name, just said that. Mr. Decker, please call the first name on the list.
Dr. Marilyn Howarth. Commenting on 180936.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
It's afternoon. Okay. Okay. Good morning. My name is Dr. Marilyn Howarth, and I'm an occupational and environmental medicine physician working in Philadelphia for the last 25 years. I'd like to thank Philadelphia City Council for the opportunity to submit these comments in support of the lead remediation funding in the budget bill, 190154. The College of Physicians of Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most respected medical organizations in the country, has submitted in writing an issue brief supporting the need to take action to protect children from lead. My testimony today is on behalf of the College of Physicians and the Center of Excellence in Environmental Toxicology at the University of Pennsylvania's Perelman School of Medicine. Thousands of research articles on lead exposure document its health effects on children in the first few years of life. Lead kills nerves in the brain and leaves others impaired, interfering with thinking and behavior. Researchers at our center have found that early life exposure to lead results in lasting sleep deprivation. Having a good night's sleep is very important and is actually essential to health, well-being, and learning. Our researchers have documented decreased IQ and behavioral problems in lead-exposed children. Every year in Philadelphia, about 2,400 children have blood lead levels over 5 micrograms per deciliter. These children have been robbed of their full academic potential with lifelong consequences. Every day, children in Philadelphia are being poisoned. That is why your action to approve this bill can't wait. Physicians in Philadelphia want you to know that there is no effective treatment once a child has been exposed to lead. The damage is permanent. Primary prevention that this bill offers eliminates the primary source of lead, and this strategy has been found to be the best way to protect children. In Philadelphia, the majority of children with elevated blood lead levels were exposed in rental properties, mainly in poor African-American neighborhoods. This is an environmental injustice. We urge City Council to enact this bill now to protect the most vulnerable. The data tells us that a delay in passing the lead-safe certification of all rental properties, even by 2 to 3 months, would result in hundreds of children harmed in Philadelphia.
Thank you. Thank you. Wrap it up. Again. Thank you for your testimony. Again, I just wanted to remind you all, we have to alter the time frame, so please alter your testimony to reflect the 2 minutes today. We got a lot of people that want to testify. We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. Thank you. Mr. Decker, please call the next name.
Donna Cooper, commenting on 190154.
Good afternoon. I want to thank council members for enacting a budget today that increases our funds for our libraries. Great move. You're also increasing the funds for summer youth employment programs. Great move. I really appreciate that. 12 of you signed a letter earlier this week asking the school district to increase its investments to remove mold, asbestos, and lead from its school buildings. You're making an enormous transfer of city revenues to the school district, and that ask is the minimum of what they need to do. An additional $30 million should be spent for that out of the school district's fund balance, which is very significant. So great move on the part of City Council. Bad move, today the lead bill was delayed. We began work on this bill with the great Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown on October 25th, 2018, 240 days ago. In that period, working on the assumption that an average of 6 children are poisoned by lead every single day, 1,440 children poisoned by lead, likely since the beginning when we started working on this bill. The time to act is now. We know that this council has enough votes to act on behalf of children. You're showing you're doing that today with the budget. You showed you did that with your letter to the school district. We're asking you to show you can do that again and act on this lead bill before you recess for this summer. Our children are depending on you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Aaron Blair. Commenting on 190154.
Hi, my name is Erin Blair. I'm here today. I know we're speaking on to the budget, and I am also here as a public health nurse speaking about the consequences of delaying this bill for the passage of lead. I appreciate that funding for moving forward with legislation is a big part as well, and I hope to see in the budget that some of the allocations towards housing might go towards assisting landlords in remediating lead that are unable to afford to do so by themselves, but every day we delay this bill, 6 children may be poisoned. I'm waiting on every single phone call I'm going to receive between now and the passage of this bill for another mom that's been unfairly discriminated against for her housing, for another mom crying in tears because she found out her baby has a lead level of 5, a lead level of 7, a lead level of 10, a lead level of 15, permanent brain damage. That happens in homes in Philadelphia every single day. People are profiting off poisoning children. We need to fix that. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Caitlin Kubiak, commenting
Good
on
afternoon.
190154.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Caitlin, and I'm the parent of a beautiful baby boy. When I was almost 8 months pregnant with my son, my landlord told me that he would not be renewing my lease when it was up, as he does not rent out to people with children under the age of 5. This is because of the lead that was possibly in the building, and he didn't want to be held liable. Upset about this, I reached out to the property manager, and he confirmed that they would not renew my lease in 2 months, the exact time my son was due. He told me they didn't know if my apartment had lead problems and that they were not obligated to test for it because I was already living in the building. I had lived in this apartment for a while. It was my home. The property manager even told me that I was one of his best tenants because I never caused any problems and I always paid my rent on time, but that they would still not be renewing my lease. This didn't seem right to me, so I called the nurse who was caring for me during my pregnancy, and she spoke with the lawyers at her office that help with housing laws. It turned out my landlord shouldn't have been kicking me out because I was pregnant and would soon have a baby living with me. But the lawyer also said my landlord was not obligated to test my unit. My landlord said I could pay for the lead test, but that if the test came back positive, he didn't have to fix it and wouldn't renew my lease. It was such an awful time. I'd been a really great tenant there, and I had done nothing wrong. At this point, I decided it wasn't worth fighting to try to stay. It was really hard to move at 8 months pregnant, and if I hadn't found a place, I had no idea where I could have gone. Where would I have put all my stuff? Packing and moving was exhausting. I wasn't even able to lift any heavy stuff, so I had to get help. It was so stressful, which worried me because I know stress isn't good for a baby during pregnancy. I also had to spend the money that I had saved up for my unpaid maternity leave. I had to spend that to find a new house. The lead law needs to be changed in Philadelphia to protect moms and babies right now, so they don't have to go through the same thing I did. I urge you all to act now before break to prevent the next baby like mine from being harmed. Thank you.
Lisa Quattlebaum, commenting on 190154.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Quattlebaum. I'm a former educator, community leader, environmental justice advocate, Food and Health Policy Advisory Board member, and parent at Powell Elementary School. I'm here to testify on Bill 190154. In this year's budget, this council once again committed the revenue to our schools that our young people deserve. I'm here to thank Council for its demonstrated commitment to our schools and to challenge you to continue to do so and to show your service to the community by pushing the school district to allocate a small portion of its fund balance to funding urgent facility repairs. My philosophy of education is rooted in the conviction that excellence in education means scholarship, character development, and citizenship expressed through service to self, family and community, the environment, the world. While the school district and newly formed Board of Education has placed much needed emphasis on comprehensive teaching and learning standards, parent engagement, inclusive and equitable best practices, it has neglected the physical structures and spaces where inquiry, discovery, and mastery take place. The learning environment, the classroom, the playground, the schools and facilities, as well as the community's resources, including parks and neighborhoods, must encourage students to consider and respect the variety of perspectives, including their own. Yet, this is virtually impossible when students face worn and hazardous spaces that distract from learning and, quite frankly, place them in critical harm. Having lived and worked abroad for more than a decade, I've seen incredible interpretations of school. This is not the school that my hometown should have. Thank you.
Gretchen Walker. Commenting on 190154.
Good afternoon. My name is Gretchen Walker. I am also a parent at Powell School, and I am the home and school president there. I am here to testify on Bill 190154. I'd like to thank Council, and especially Council President, for your commitment to invest in our city schools for our children and for our city's future. This year, the school district has a surplus. It's been mentioned now twice in testimony. I am asking for you to continue to push the school district to allocate a small portion of its fund balance to funding urgent facilities repairs, specifically $30 million. A majority of council has already signed on to a letter, Donna Cooper mentioned it, to the school district with this ask. And basically, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm just hoping the rest of you will start to sing harmony on this matter. And if, in fact, the burden of the school to fix all the repairs is what COO Danielle Floyd has stated last fall as $4 billion, why, you may ask, why $30 million right now? Because each child's needs are priceless. Facilities needs cascade and compound losses for every child affected. So $30 million repairs can make a big improvement for a lot of children's lives. Part of this $30 million will go to asthma control or remediation of mold that produces asthma reactions. Just this year, mold needed to be remediated in a music facility at Powell, which means instruction was interrupted for 6 months. That's one child times 30 in a classroom times 2 classrooms times 5 grades did not get an opportunity. These opportunities lost do not get regained. Please do the $30 million right now to support children.
Audra Wolf. Commenting on 181063A.
My name is Audra Wolf, and I'm a member of POWER, Philadelphians Organized to Witness, Empower, and Rebuild. I'm here to testify on Bill 181063, authorizing construction of a liquefied natural gas facility. Most of you are familiar with POWER and are aware that we represent more than 30,000 people. We fight for racial, economic, and environmental justice. POWER is also a member of the No LNG Coalition, a group that includes 30 organizations across the city. You've heard from us and our allies over the past few weeks on the need for the city to plan for a just transition to use renewable energy to heat buildings across Philadelphia. We're grateful to City Councilpersons Helen Gem and Curtis Jones for committing to vote no on the LNG project. We need that kind of leadership in a time of climate emergency. We hope that other members of council will join them. The question of whether we as a city should be investing in new fossil fuel infrastructure should no longer be subject to debate. The conversation should instead and must be about how we equitably, justly, and quickly transition away from fossil fuels to ensure that our city, our children, and our future have healthy air and water, a livable climate, and sacred land to live upon. The conversation must move away from pitting labor against the health and well-being of humanity. And instead rethink how we respond to the climate crisis together. The climate crisis is exacerbating racial inequality and already harming our communities. To quote Reverend Holston, we are bringing a watering can to a house fire. We need a comprehensive and urgent approach to this problem, and we need it now. Transitions are always painful, but they can also create opportunities to re-envision our future. And we don't have to just dream. We can look at other cities that have done this.
Ms. Wolf?
Commit to this conversation. You'll be hearing from us more in the future, and please oppose this facility. Thank you.
I think it's important that I amplify and underscore the requests made very graciously of President Clark. Everybody has a voice. Everyone will have their say. Let's be fair with the 2 minutes that he has requested of all of us. Chief Clerk.
Mark Clincy.
One, two.
Okay, thank you. I thank City Council for allowing me to be here today. My name is Mark Clincy, a member of Philly Thrive and a resident of South Philadelphia. Some of you have already heard what I had to say, but you haven't listened, which is why I'm back here today. This is a very important issue. We don't want the LNG plant in South Philadelphia. Many of you may know that there is a polluting oil refinery in South Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Energy Solutions. This LNG plant may not pollute as much as the refinery, but any additional pollution in the area is way too much. Like the refinery, the LNG plant will contribute to climate change. We already see the greenhouse effects at play with hotter summer days and worse air quality, which makes it hard for many in Philly and beyond. South Philly has been forced to shoulder the burden of fossil fuel infrastructure in this city, and we're getting the short end of the stick. We shouldn't have to take on the impacts of another facility. This doesn't mean we can't have jobs. We want well-paying green jobs for all, not jobs that contribute to climate change. A lot of jobs have moved away from the city to the suburbs, and my community has been left behind. PGW needs to transition away from fossil fuels and to renewable energy. This transition of PGW must include a plan to protect current jobs and create new jobs for people in my community who can't find work. An important piece of this conversation is cost of utilities. I know PGW wants to keep it affordable for ratepayers, but natural gas and fossil fuels is not the solution to this.
Mr. Clincy?
Yes?
We want to thank you for your comprehensive assessment of the issue. Your 2 minutes are up. We need to move on.
Also commenting on 181063A. In this order, please approach the podium. Marta Gutenberg, Lisa Hastings, Nate Holt, Danny Boudier, Craig White, Ryan Boyer, and Greg Holston. Marta Gutenberg will be first.
Good afternoon. Like the people with me and standing behind me, I'm here to ask City Council to do its job and protect the people who live and breathe in Philadelphia. Some of you may have heard the news today from Washington that the first responders to 9/11 who had to live and breathe the destruction of the Twin Towers are, over these decades, getting sick and not being cared for. I want to suggest to you that the experience that we have living and breathing here in Philadelphia as more and more things are burned that shouldn't be burned is a kind of 9/11 first responder experience in slow motion. Washington stepped up and said, yup, we'll find some money to take care of you guys. I'm hoping that City Council will step up and say, right, first we're going to not harm you further, and we're going to oppose the LNG plant, and we're going to fund your care. Thank you.
Lisa Hastings.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Hastings. And I oppose the LNG deal because of the very valid environmental concerns and for some other reasons. As was the case when I opposed selling PGW a few years ago, I want the city to retain full control over the direction of PGW and our city's future. This includes retaining the ability to make improvements without being hampered by inflexible long-term agreements with private parties. My belief then and now is that public elected officials like you would be much more likely to make decisions for PGW and the rest of us based on the entire public interest rather than on short-term profits. You have the chance to make such a decision now by voting this project down. The LNG bill would commit the city to increase commercial fossil fuel footprint in Philadelphia for 25 years, even if much better, much cleaner, and more lucrative alternatives become possible. The city, there's no escape clause in this deal, so the city is stuck with it for 25 years. With the ever-increasing rate of technological innovation and the urgency of climate change, 25 years is a very long time. If you approve this project, you will also be inhibiting PGW and the city's ability to adopt new energy sources when they come available. Thank you.
Nate Holt.
Okay, I want to talk about this liquefied natural gas plant. If you approve this project and you vote for this bill, that is a direct attack on this city's desire for a Green New Deal. City council members talk a lot about addressing poverty and creating jobs, and nothing does that better than a Green New Deal. If you're not for a Green New Deal, stop talking about how you want to create jobs. Stop. No matter what the carbon footprint of the LNG plant is itself, the extraction of the gas that it processes and the burning of it after it is sold off will produce millions of tons of greenhouse gases that will pollute our environment. It was rainy a bit this morning, and it'll be a little rainy later tonight. And there's 4 days of rain in next week's forecast. 2018 was the second rainiest year in Philadelphia's history. 3 of the 4 rainiest years in Philadelphia history have been in the last 8 years. If you don't believe climate change is real, then your eyes are not open. When in 25 years or 30 years we look at our children or our grandchildren, we need to ask ourselves whether we did everything we could to help them as food systems collapse all over the world, and as 1 billion refugees need to be relocated due to the horrors of climate change that scientists tell us will happen. And you can say, I hope it won't happen, or it's all a bunch of noise, it's all clickbait. But when this many scientists tell you all over the world It's like worrying about whether the sun is going to set tonight or rise this morning. It's real. It's going to happen. History will reflect your record today. Please vote no.
Danny Bardia.
Good afternoon. I'm Danny Bowder, and I am very proud to serve the 150,000 union members in Philadelphia as campaign manager of the Philadelphia Council, AFL-CIO. Council President and members of Council, I'm here in support of Bill number 181063A, introduced by Councilmember Green. Our city is very, very fortunate to wholly own an asset like the Philadelphia Gas Works. Not many cities can say that they have an asset like PGW that the city and the citizens own themselves. And it's one of the things that makes Philadelphia so unique and so great. Unfortunately, this is an asset that requires a great deal of investment for maintenance and repair. Thankfully, we have an opportunity today to make an investment in maintenance, to make an investment in infrastructure, to make an investment in those repairs by supporting 181063A. This project to export liquid natural gas is a win-win for our city. We're able to export a much-needed product and in return raise revenue for infrastructure repair and for the maintenance of PGW, our asset. The addition of a solar array at the Passyunk project site makes us the perfect public-private partnership that will be entirely carbon neutral. I want to thank all of the members of council who have supported this project from the jump, to those members of the Gas Commission who've already voted in favor of it, and to those voting today for the first time, I implore you, support this bill. Support an investment in infrastructure and support good union jobs. Thank you.
Craig White.
Good morning. My name is Craig White. I'm President and CEO of the Philadelphia Gas Works, and I want to thank Council President and members of Council for giving me this opportunity today to discuss our project. Certainly, we heard you loud and clear 5 years ago when the company was not sold, and the decision was made to retain Philadelphia Gas Works, and the message that we received was that we had to do more with that asset. We had to create revenue streams that could support our growing low-income population. As you all know, we're the largest city. We're the only city with a population over 1 million that has as many poor families as we do. And this LNG project is a tremendous project in that it is a public-private partnership. It has as the last gentleman said, it has very few carbon emissions. To equate that to something that's more understandable, it's equivalent to about 7 homes in the city of Philadelphia. So you build 7 new homes, you have the equivalent amount of emissions as this LNG facility. And we have budgeted, and we filed with the Philadelphia Gas Commission for a solar array that would make carbon emissions at that facility a net zero. In addition to that, we're not talking about work that Philadelphia Gas Works has not done. We've been doing this for over 50 years. Matter of fact, the gentleman sitting over here to my right, many of them have over 30 years, 35 years at our LNG plants, working this facility and providing this asset to not only citizens of Philadelphia, but citizens around the region. So anyway, the red lights come on. I want to thank you very much for your positive vote. Thank you.
Ryan Boyer. Ryan Boyer.
Not here.
Greg Holston.
My name is Reverend Gregory Holston. I'm the Executive Director of Power. Power is 83 congregations across the city of Philadelphia and the surrounding areas. Power has stand and has stood with workers around this city over the last 10 years. We have gotten arrested. We have marched in snow, sleet, and rain to make sure that workers had rights, to support the rights of workers and support them to have more and more jobs in this city. And so when power stands up and says to all of you here, this is about the health of our city and not about jobs, we have a jobs record to stand on. As a pastor in this city, I've been in South Philadelphia. I started my career there. I grew up in South Philadelphia. For years, they told us that plant in South Philadelphia, that refinery, was only emitting steam. For years, they told us there was no carbon emissions. For years, they told us our health was not in danger. Yet, over and over, cancer after cancer after cancer can be found in that same community. How long are you going to rely on the natural gas people to tell you it is carbon neutral when they've had a history of not sharing that or not really doing that? It's been exactly the opposite in this city. How many children, we've talked about it already, how many children, how many families, how many children are going to have asthma? How many children are going to have disease? How many children, how many people are going to suffer weird cancers and have to be buried again by the pastor in the community wondering what's happening to their people? I'm here to tell you to vote no. Vote no because you don't know. Vote no because you don't really know what the truth is. Vote no for a safer Philadelphia. Vote no for the 21st century that we really want for this city.
Thank you.
Franco Robinson. Franco Robinson. Joe Cox. Commenting on 180-936.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. LNG, new contracts with gas. Have you heard the stories? I think it's clear you haven't. The stories of those living near LNG, the people being affected, the kids. If you did, the bill would have been dropped. Think about the kids when you vote, not only in this decision that shouldn't have come to this point, but to any legislation. Think about the most vulnerable, gas plants, lead buildings, burning trash, underfunded libraries and schools. Where does your moral compass lie? I hope the deal hasn't already been made. No LNG, no lead buildings, no burning trash. Fully fund the libraries. $15 million. Thank you.
George Gould.
Thank you. My name is George Gould. I'm an attorney at Community Legal Services. I'm here to discuss Bill number 180936. It's an extremely important bill which would amend the lead safe ordinance in Philadelphia. We had been told this bill got out of committee, and we had been told that this bill was going to come up for a vote today for final passage. We were very excited about it, but instead, we have been told by the Councilwoman Reynolds Brown's office there are a variety of reasons why this is indefinitely delayed. The first, we're told we want to reach a middle ground. Lead poisoning, you cannot reach a middle ground. 2,200 kids every year in this city get lead poisoned. The problem with the existing bill, it's not effective. The bill that is up before final vote in City Council is effective, and it needs to get passed. We're also told there needs to be more discussions. There have been 18 months of discussions. We have talked endlessly about this bill and the need for it. Today we get a memo saying that there needs to be some type of meeting in July about enforcement of the new provisions. Well, when this bill got passed, I personally talked to the Commissioner Perry of L&I and Commissioner Farley of the Health Department, and they both agreed to a procedure that would clearly enforce this bill. Interesting, over $1 million has been allocated to landlords to abate lead-based paint, but nothing is happening to help the actual tenants. Finally, I'd like to thank Helen Gim for getting passed in the budget $1.5 million legal defense fund. Thank you.
The remaining 5 speakers on the public comment list in this order, please approach the podium. Agbana Hagins, Ruth Vincent, Mina Raval, Tiffany Green, and Joe Danahill. Agbana Hagins will be first. Ruth Vincent, please approach the podium.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Pastor Ruth Vincent Washington. I stand before you representing the First Haitian Church of God and our Haitian community. This vote passing is important because we've been in existence now for 40 years and have been a strong support to our fellow Haitian community as well as the community itself. We've been able to support our community emotionally, spiritually, financially, and socially. We've created a sense of self and self-validation in a world that is so judgmental for our people. If I can quote a verse, I would like to say what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 5, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creature. The old has gone, the new has come." Knowing our position in Christ solves all identity issues. This scripture remains evident for us because First Haitian assists our people in feeling a sense of belong, a sense of self, giving them the self-confidence that they need to understand that they can do all things and anything is possible in a society where we are looked upon in such a negative lens. They're empowered by knowing that all things are possible as long as they believe. Within our congregation and our community, we have such greatness that comes from it. For example, we have pastors, doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, entrepreneurs from a Haitian community, if I can name a few. Our church has not only been able to service our Haitian people, but we are now and have become a liaison for the community to help all different ethnicities. Please consider this and keep us in mind as you make your decision today, knowing that we as Haitian people, we contribute to the brotherly love that this city exemplifies and talks about. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Mina Raval.
Good afternoon. I am Mina Raval, and I'm giving up my right to speak for a moment to Sabira Mahmood, a 16-year-old.
Hello, my name is Sabira Mahmood, and I'm speaking on the bill 181063A. I'm a 16-year-old student, activist, and community member here in Philadelphia, more specifically in University City. Today, my friend Enya and I represent the U.S. Youth Climate Strike and the youth of this country and this city. As we gather here today to vote on these bills and discover whether or not we should vote yes to the LNG plant, the communities I represent strongly oppose to this. This is because of the fact we are in a state of a climate emergency, and this bill introduced by Councilmember Green takes us into the wrong direction. The reason I say this is because us, the youth of this country, are going to experience the terrible consequences of this plan. I want to tell you all a story. I have a classmate of mine who runs. As my school is in South Philly, where this plant is to be put, he runs around the area along with his students-run Philly-style group. However, as he suffers from asthma, he almost lost his life from running in this area where we lack the air quality we strongly deserve and need. The fact this plant is even in discussion puts us, the youth, in risk of life-threatening situations as my classmate was in. If you are in this room, think of your children, your nieces, nephews, and grandchildren. This LNG plant will affect them as well. I have a 6-year-old sister, and I would not want her to be affected in this way. If you are in favor for the future of this city and this country, please vote no. And to those who have committed to voting no, I thank you for voting in favor of our children. Our students and children do not deserve to have this plant. They do not deserve their air quality to be at risk. They deserve a clean future. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Tiffany Green.
I did want to speak on 2 other bills.
I'm gonna make this quick. Tiffany Green. I'm speaking on Bill 190449, I believe it is, regarding the balconies. We asked for, this bill was inside our housing conformity bill to stop the 3-story houses in our community, and because a developer said that if they ban the 3-story builds, 3-story mansions that's being built in our community, then construction would shut down. How dare you pull our bill, Councilman Johnson, off the list because a certain developer made this warning. I mean, at this point that I want to talk about the treatment of black community. This is plantation politics. I don't have time for plantation politics no more. The thing about this at this point, and then when it comes to new development, you're putting the black community on the back line. It's okay for a developer for a shopping center to take millions of dollars from the black community and continue support. But when it comes down to meetings regarding discussing the details of the zoning, we're left out on the plantation. You don't feel that we're worthy enough, intelligent enough to deal with this. This is not right. You're not going to continue treating the black community like this. We want our bill. Now that you pull our bill off the list, we have to go through the rest of the year or the rest of the summer like lambs being slaughtered while they go to our blocks and build these 5-story mansions. How could you sit there, city council, and allow us to do that? Councilwoman Blondell, Councilwoman Bass, all of you talk about you are champions for children, but nobody asks what happened to the community. We talk about jobs and about new development. Do you ask how many low-income families will be displaced? Did you ask how many seniors will be harassed to move out to a senior citizen complex? Did you ask how many people will become homeless because of this development you want to put in the middle of our shopping center? You have not asked those questions, but yet you sat here and voted for a bill and passed it through for a luxury complex. You know that's a luxury complex being put in our shopping center. And the reality is we deserve our 5-story, Stockton 5-story mansions. Since June 2012, we've asked for that bill, and we have not gotten it. It is now June 2019, and we're still being bombarded with these 3-story mansions. This is plantation politics. Plantation vote.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you. Thank you, Council. Thank you for your testimony.
Joe Danahill.
This is the official decree of the people, and rem mandamus quo warranto, and as such requires immediate action remedy. Every week, council, mayor, governor, and others transfer private property to government, probably illegally. Consent of the governed is required to be proved before you act. Did the governed ask you to deny or restrict public comment at city council meetings? Did the governed approve theft of my home, theft of my just compensation? Did the governed approve your unanimous votes to spend upwards of $120 million federal HUD money to build a mall on top of my stolen home? If you do not want to perform your known duty or task, why do you run for re-election? Failure to perform your known duty or task is known by military people as treason. Why hasn't the Attorney General investigated and prosecuted my numerous complaints? The Constitution's required immediate remedy is breach of law, breach of oath, breach of fiduciary duty. Your oath of office requires you to act or face prison. 42 U.S.C. 1982, 1983, 1985, 1986, 1987. 18 U.S.C. 241, 242, 2381, 2384. PA Constitution Sections 1 through 28. 26 PA CSA 703, 705, 708, 709, 711, 712, 713, 716, 902, and other laws listed in SCOTUS 1589-65, 14-1330, 14-4056 appear violated. I call on the federal and Commonwealth governments to perform their constitutional obligations, to investigate and prosecute all involved in the theft and illegal deed transfer of my home, 1038 West Wyoming Avenue. The denial of God-given 42 U.S.C. 1982 property rights for 25 years is egregious, extraordinary, oath-violating, and requires immediate remedy. A just government must obey the rule of law. This color law government must have its charter of government revoked until a constitutionally compliant government is installed.
Thank you.
I remind Council, it takes a lot of cooperation to create and allow
Thank
your
you, Mr.
weekly violation of all the documents we hold sacred and this monumental corruption.
Thank you for your testimony.
There are no other speakers in the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We will now consider the bills and resolutions. We now consider today's bill consent agenda.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm Matt Walker. I'm the Advocacy Director with Clean Air Council. Clean Air Council has testified a number of times before various committees of Philadelphia City Council, raising a number of issues with Liberty Energy Trust's proposed LNG plant. Those issues have still not been addressed, and therefore, the council must again urge members of City Council to complete their due diligence before voting on the PGW LNG plant. City Council should determine how this LNG plant will advance the city's climate goals of reducing greenhouse gases by 80% by 2050. In addition, before voting on this LNG plant, City Council must evaluate whether it will conform to the long-term sustainability plan for PGW. It is clear that neither council members nor the public have all the information necessary to make a well-informed decision. So this vote should not occur until after City Council has complete answers to the following. 1, an accounting of the diesel exhaust reductions claimed by the LNG plant, including the locations of sites that currently use diesel fuel that would switch to natural gas. 2, analysis of the climate change impacts from leaks of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, from additional equipment and additional throughput at the plant. 3, an analysis of non-fossil fuel alternatives to achieve similar economic and jobs goals. 4, benefits to low-income ratepayers. 5, benefits to the environmental justice community being asked to host this facility. 6, analysis of upstream and downstream greenhouse gas emissions. It is disingenuous for PGW to claim that this facility will have net zero emissions when it has not received funding for the solar array to power the operations. It's also disingenuous that PGW would claim that the equipment would not emit methane emissions. No plant like this would plan to emit methane on purpose, but it would leak methane. Even with leak detection monitors in place, it would still leak or boil off from the vaporizer, truck loading equipment, or other connections on the site.
Sir.
That seemed like faster than 2 minutes to me. And there hasn't been any attempt to estimate the methane leaks or address them.
Okay.
I just want to say one last thing. It would be irresponsible for City Council to vote on this today, proceed.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on. It's 2 minutes, Ms. Robin.
Good morning, good afternoon now, and I'm Judith Robinson. I'm here to speak on bill number 180729. It is an environmental justice issue as we relate to short dumping and debris and dumping in our community. Please move forward quickly with all the zero waste recommendations, such as higher fines, etc. But I want you to be clear. Evictions, 70% of the yearly evictions of about over 20,000 are black women being evicted out of Philadelphia as we gentrify. So I want to make sure some of that $800,000 that you increase for the homeless bill goes directly towards black women who are being evicted out of the city, with their children, by the way. In addition, you have a violence reduction committee. I want to make sure that we're dealing with this violence reduction. As we gentrify this community, increasing housing costs tremendously, that we check 350 black young men are killed each year with illegal guns. Just recently, after a long time of having lost and stolen guns documentation law on the books, you just recently decide to start to enforce it. Why don't you move forward in that regard quickly as possible? Every area of our land in Philadelphia is being monetized. Our Fairmount Park, whoever's the head of that committee, check. It's being monetized. I enjoy our city. I'm a native of this city. I enjoy all the good things, but I cannot discount all of the things that are affecting my community up in North Philly in the 5th District, which the council president represents. We're catching hell. We're catching hell up in North Philadelphia with all the increase in taxes, increase in value of properties. Thank you very much. I appreciate you allowing me to speak. But freedom of speech is a right. It's not something you could take away. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay. Thank you all. We will now consider today's bill consent agenda. Mr. Decker, I'm going to ask you to read the titles of all the bills on the consent agenda. After each title is read, any member may object to the inclusion of the bill on the consent agenda. Upon such an objection and without debate, Councilman Johnson, Did you want to speak prior to us taking a vote? You good? Okay. So any member may object to the inclusion of the bill on the consent agenda. Upon such an objection and without debate, the bill will immediately be removed from the consent agenda and placed on our regular final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, if you will now read the titles of the bills on the consent agenda.
Bill number 190152, entitled an ordinance to adopt a capital program for the 6 fiscal years 2020 through 2025 inclusive. And Bill number 190153, entitled an ordinance to adopt the fiscal 2020 capital budget. And Bill number 190155, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 19-1500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Wage and Net Profits Tax by revising certain tax rates. And Bill number 190317, entitled an ordinance amending Section 191301.1 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Homestead Exclusion, to increase the amount of homestead exclusion. And Bill number 190182, entitled an ordinance amending Title 10 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Regulation of Individual Conduct and Activity, and Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Finance, Taxes, and Collections, to impose liability and provide for the revocation of licenses for certain persons who permit human trafficking, involuntary servitude, or related unlawful activity to occur on a property or in connection with a business. And Bill number 190206, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into an agreement between the city and the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the PRA to act as the city's agent for the marketing, competitive bidding, sale, and development as applicable of certain city-owned properties. And Bill number 190207, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to convey to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Tacony Street, Levick Street, Milner Street, and Barnett Street. And Bill number 190208, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to acquire fee simple title or a lesser interest in real estate by purchase, dedication, donation, condemnation, agreement in lieu of condemnation or otherwise to parcels of land along the Delaware River and in the bed of the former Kensington and Tacony Railroad. And Bill number 190310, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 804 North Broad Street. And Bill number 181004, entitled an ordinance amending Title 9 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions by amending Chapter 9200, entitled Commercial Activities on Streets, by revising certain provisions related to street vendors and sidewalk sales to prohibit the sale of fireworks by such vendors. And Bill number 190098, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 13th Street, West Side, Master Street to Jefferson Street. And Bill number 190119, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 22nd Street, West Side, Aspen Street to Brown Street. And Bill number 190185, entitled an ordinance amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Bicycle Lanes, by authorizing the Department of Streets to designate a bicycle lane and to remove a travel lane on Market Street and on John F. Kennedy Boulevard, all between North 15th Street and North 20th Street. And Bill number 190211, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of South 13th Street and Dickinson Street, Federal Street and South 7th Street, Federal Street and South 10th Street, Annan Street and South 9th Street, Eisenmenger Street and Morris Street, Cross Street and Marshall Street, South 13th Street and Reed Street. And Bill 190252, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Pennsylvania Commonwealth System of Higher Education, doing business as Temple University, CO Kenneth Kaiser and Thomas McCreesh, to install, own, and maintain non-standard lights in the public right-of-way at 1901 through 47 North Park Avenue. And Bill number 190287, entitled an ordinance authorizing Noel Carasagni, doing business as The Barn, to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 4901 Catherine Street. And Bill number 190288, entitled an ordinance authorizing Matthew Hopkins, Ainco Development, to install, own, and maintain various encroachments at 3900 Chestnut Street. And Bill number 190289, entitled an ordinance authorizing Yishai Kedar to own and maintain an existing exterior stairway in the public right-of-way at 1501 North Front Street. And Bill number 190304, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 106 by establishing a curved corner at the intersection of the westerly side of 34th Street and the northeasterly side of Mantua Avenue, and establishing a curb bump out extending along the northeasterly curb line of said Mantua Avenue from 34th Street to a point northwesterly therefrom. And Bill number 190307, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 271 by placing on the city plan a cutback area at the northwest corner of 2nd Street and Germantown Avenue. And Bill number 190309, entitled an ordinance amending section 9203 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Street Vendors by prohibiting vending along certain portions of Spring Garden Street. And Bill number 190320, entitled an ordinance amending section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Farmers Markets by adding a permissible location. And Bill number 190321, entitled an ordinance amending chapter 12900 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Parking Regulations and Penalties by adding a new section 12918.1 entitled Parking for Flexible Park Auto Sharing Organizations to provide for exemption from certain parking regulations for flexible park auto sharing organizations. And Bill number 190354, entitled an ordinance amending section 2 of an ordinance, Bill number 180285, approved June 6, 2018, entitled an ordinance authorizing the trustees of the University of Pennsylvania to own and maintain various encroachments at 1 Convention Avenue by extending the period for compliance with the terms and conditions stated therein. And Bill number 190355, entitled an ordinance amending section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes to authorize bicycle lanes on Richmond Street from Lewis Street to Berkshire Street. And Bill number 190363, entitled an ordinance amending section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes to authorize bicycle lanes in the 1st Councilmanic District on North 10th Street from Buttonwood Street to Callawhill Street and on Columbus Boulevard from Dilworth Street to Swanson Street. And Bill number 190364, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Camac Street and Moyamensing Avenue, McKean Street and South 10th Street, Snyder Avenue and South 10th Street, Sartain Street and Mifflin Street, South Juniper Street and Jackson Street, Hoffman Street and South 7th Street, Wolf Street and South 11th Street. And Bill number 190365, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of South 12th Street and Passyunk Avenue, Emily Street and South 8th Street, Dudley Street and South 7th Street through South 9th Street, Winton Street and South 11th Street, South 9th Street and McKean Street, South 13th Street and Morris Street. And Bill number 190379, entitled an ordinance amending section 2 of an ordinance, Bill number 170086, approved May 22, 2017, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades in a portion of City Plan number 269 by relocating portions of the house lines and curb lines of Convention Avenue from 34th Street to Health Sciences Drive, by revising the terms and conditions stated therein and extending the period for compliance therewith. And Bill number 190381, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of North 17th Street and Francis Street, Wellington Street and Jefferson Street, Thompson Street and North 16th Street, Parish Street and Taney Street, North 23rd Street and Aspen Street, North 23rd Street and Brown Street. And Bill number 190405, entitled an ordinance authorizing Renee Woodland to install and maintain an existing oversized balcony in the public right-of-way at 1438 North 29th Street. And Bill number 190410, entitled an ordinance amending section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Farmers Markets by adding a permissible location on South Broad Street. And Bill number 190411, entitled an ordinance regulating the direction of movement of traffic on certain portions of 85th and 86th Streets, Eastwick Avenue, and Harley and Luther Places. And Bill number 190434, entitled an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on Whitby Avenue between 52nd and 53rd Streets, both sides. And Bill number 190445, entitled an ordinance amending section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize bicycle lanes on Germantown Avenue from North 2nd Street to Master Street. And Bill number 190450, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 15S by placing on the City Plan Alta Street from 17th Street to 18th Street in order to conform more closely with existing conditions. And Bill number 190453, entitled an ordinance amending section 12901 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Stopping, Standing, or Parking Prohibited at Certain Places, to permit overnight truck parking on South 11th Street between Catherine Street and Webster Street, and to establish parking regulations on the same portion of South 11th Street. And Bill number 190456, entitled an ordinance granting permission to Esteban Guinez, owner and operator of Los Potrillos food truck, located in the right-of-way on the west side of the 4200 block of G Street, to install, use, and maintain certain electrical wires, conduits, and appurtenances in, under, and over the right-of-way on the 4200 block of G Street. And Bill number 190463, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code and Title Traffic Code to revise various provisions related to on-street parking systems. And Bill number 190464, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 11203, subparagraph 3 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Sewer and Water Pipe and Other Underground Service, to authorize revision of the length of time during which a permit to maintain a plumber's ditch remains valid. And Bill number 190465, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize a bicycle lane on North 2nd Street from Wood Street to Race Street, and making associated changes to parking regulations within the same limits. And Bill number 190469, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Streets Commissioner and Procurement Commissioner on behalf of the city to enter into an agreement with Waste Management of Pennsylvania, Incorporated, pursuant to which Waste Management will receive municipal solid waste to be collected by or on behalf of the city and transfer and dispose of that municipal solid waste. And Bill number 190438, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development properties located at 4910 Botanic Avenue, 5014 Grays Avenue, 5027 Grays Avenue, and 2639 South 58th Street, and further authorizing paid to reconvey a portion of the property at 4910 Botanic Avenue to the City of Philadelphia, all under certain terms and conditions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Decker. These bills having been read on 2 different days, the question for each bill now is, shall the bill pass finally? And Mr. Decker, can you call the roll? And upon being called, each council member shall vote aye on each of the bills, nay on each of the bills, or indicate those bills for which the member is voting aye and which the member is voting nay. Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Dom.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Green.
On all bills.
Councilman Greenlee.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye on all bills.
Council President Clark.
Aye on all bills. The majority of all members having voted in the affirmative for each of the bills on the consent agenda are passed. We now consider the bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passes calendar. What? Councilman, I'm sorry, I didn't see your light.
Okay, thank
Chair
you.
recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. In caucus, we had previously held Bill number 190467. For the record, we are amending Bill number 190467. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. You already did it? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilman. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passes calendar. And Mr. Decker, if you can read the title of 190074.
A resolution honoring and recognizing the Boy Scouts of America's 109th anniversary and celebrating the expansion of Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts BSA, formerly Boy Scouts, to welcome girls into its iconic programs.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Taubenberger.
Move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190074 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190389.
A resolution dissolving the headquarter hotel tax increment financing district, being the area generally bounded by South Penn Square on the north, Broad Street on the east, 15th Street on the west, and Chestnut Street on the south, pursuant to the provisions of the Tax Increment Financing Act.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190389 is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title 190479.
A resolution initiating action to continue a business improvement district encompassing certain existing and future hotel properties within the boundaries of the City of Philadelphia, known as the Philadelphia Hospitality Improvement Levy District, and to continue the Philadelphia Hospitality Improvement Levy District Corporation as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
I move that this bill be moved to this resolution, be moved to the suspension calendar.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190479 is now on the suspension calendar. Mr. Decker, 190513.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1901 through 09 North 33rd Street and 1911 through 15 North 33rd Street located in the 5th Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190513 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190514.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 16th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190514 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190519.
A resolution also naming Broad Street between Spruce and Locust Streets Patti LaBelle Way to honor Philadelphia living legend Patti LaBelle.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Johnson.
In partnership with Councilman Blanos Reynolds Brown, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190519 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190529.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Kensington north of Lehigh redevelopment area identified by house number and street address as 2159 East Monmouth Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190529 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190530.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the New Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2515 Salmon Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190530 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190299.
A resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to revise city procurement procedures.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Green, and I would like to remind you, because this is a home rule charter amendment, we will need a minimum of 12 votes.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution, along with Bill number 190290, are up for a vote today. This legislation is work that we've been doing with the Kennedy administration, in particular Christine Denerick Lopez and Iola Harper from the Office of Economic Opportunity. The goal of this legislation is to change the threshold for RFPs for many small businesses to do the work to complete an RFP at a $34,000 level is very burdensome and challenging. And looking at cities all across the country that have a much higher threshold. In addition, we were able to look at ways that we can amend our procurement rules to make it easier for a preference for local-based businesses. Based on these initiatives, we believe it's going to make it easier for small businesses to do business with the City of Philadelphia. This body previously approved the best value legislation, which was another piece of legislation to make it easier for small businesses to do business with the City of Philadelphia. This legislation is another step in that lane. I urge my colleagues to support not only this resolution, number 190299, as well as a companion bill, bill number 190290. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Did you make your motion? You made a motion? I'm sorry. You moved?
Motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted because, again, resolution number 190299 is an amendment to the Home Rule Charter, requires 2/3 vote. Therefore, the question is, shall the resolution be adopted? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilman Dom. Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Greenlee.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim. Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. 2/3 of all members of council having voted in the affirmative, the resolution number 190-299 has been adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 181-063A.
An ordinance authorizing the Philadelphia Gas Works by Philadelphia Facilities Management Corporation, Philadelphia Municipal Authority, and the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into transactions and contracts regarding a liquefied natural gas project on property and facilities owned by the City of Philadelphia and operated by the Philadelphia Gas Works.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. Today I ask my colleagues to support this bill. I want to say a few words about where we are, where do we need to go, how we got there, and how this project fits. The early effects of climate change are already with us, and countries, especially the United States, have already polluted enough to lock in further negative change. We know that to prevent cataclysmic changes, we must move swiftly away from reliance on extracted fossil fuels. We also know that an equitable plan to do that must balance the needs of low-income ratepayers, workers, our public-owned utility, and all our current residents and future citizens. In the absence of leadership from federal government, State General Assembly, that responsibility falls entirely, at least for now, to the City of Philadelphia. With its limited human potential, but obvious economic needs and definitely limited financial resources, we must take action. This body has already taken action. Last year, through the leadership of Councilmember Reynolds Brown, this body worked with the Philadelphia Energy Authority to do a solar initiative with community solar that will provide 20% of our municipal energy spend in Adams County through Adams Solar, which will be the largest solar array in Pennsylvania. Just this Monday, in the Finance Committee, we voted out the CPACE, or the Commercial Property Assessment Plan Energy Program, or CPACE, which provides incentives for commercial and industrial buildings to invest solar on their buildings. For the most part, and I think most people do know this, but for those who do not, the majority of our climate change comes from commercial, residential, industrial buildings. So the energy that we use to operate City Hall, to operate our homes, come from carbon dioxide emissions, and the legislation that we voted out of the Finance Committee on Monday, had first reading today, and hopefully final passage next week, shows our work toward addressing that large aspect of climate change. But we know that Philadelphia must change. We have yet to develop our plan. In April, the Transportation and Public Utilities Committee heard initial testimony from several experts about how to shoulder this responsibility. Among the policies proposed were green molecules, district heating, and electrification. But options and ideas are not a blueprint. Fortunately, due to the leadership of the Office of Sustainability, under the leadership of Christine Knapp and the work of PGW, the Bloomberg Foundation has awarded the city money and technical assistance to study the diversifying the products that PGW offers. Even with the ongoing effort to review how their business model can evolve, there must be a broader conversation about how the city proceeds. I intend to continue to convene all stakeholders in a fair process to build a shared vision and craft an equitable plan for how the city deals with climate change. In the meantime, PGW took as instructions the opportunities laid out in the report that this council used to determine not to sell PGW. And prior to my becoming a member of this body, working for Councilmember Marion Tasco, spent about 9 months looking at the sale of PGW. Based on our review and analysis, the net result to the city would have been about $200 million. And so we decided that we did not want to sell PGW, and so we put to PGW, as Craig White said earlier, let's look at other alternatives regarding liquefied natural gas. PGW has been looking at LNG for some time. Going back to March of 2012, they engaged Place Global to do a market study and also a review of supply chain economics regarding LNG. In 2012, PGW also had a pilot program of sales of LNG. In June of 2015, they issued a request for information for the idea of doing LNG along with Pace Global. In January 2016, they engaged Public Financial Management to do an independent review of the possibilities of liquefied natural gas. In April 2016, PGW issued a request for proposals for LNG sales. In September of 2017, PGW did a memorandum of understanding with proposers that were selected by PGW to develop LNG, and that was with the Liberty Energy Trust in September 2017. In June of 2018, the Philadelphia Facilities Management Corporation Board approved this proposal. In fall of 2018, the Philadelphia Gas Commission, which I chair, completed our review, and we voted upon this on December 4th of 2018. In the winter of 2018, we took additional conversations, and in December 6th of last year, this bill was introduced in the City Council. On February 27th of this year, the Transportation and Public Utilities Committee voted out this bill, and on March 28th of this year, we had briefings from members of City Council regarding the liquefied natural gas proposal. The project involves Liberty Energy paying to create a new liquefier to be operated by PGW employees at the existing Passyunk plant. The liquefied natural gas from Liberty would be responsible and has the best business case in offsetting the local consumption of dirtier oil and coal. The city carries effectively no risk to the city of Philadelphia. The deal would guarantee $1 million in non-ratepayer dollars to PGW, which is otherwise severely restricted by the state PUC in how it spends money. We all know that the city has the highest level of poverty for any big city in the nation at 26%, and this additional non-ratepayer dollars can help offset possible rate increases that the PGW may need at PUC. In addition, it will give us some resources to start to diversify and do different things with PGW. In addition, invest in some solar projects like the project that this body approved with the Philadelphia Energy Authority last year with Atom Solar, and look at other ideas regarding renewables. In addition, on the desk of each member of council, we looked at what would this proposal do compared to other facilities in the city of Philadelphia. We looked at the Philadelphia Energy Solutions plant, which is a former Sunoco plant, that emits over 3.2 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. This project would do 2 tons of carbon dioxide emissions per year. That's 2 versus 3.2 million. Now, we also pushed upon Liberty Energy Trust to come up with some additional ways to reduce that type of carbon dioxide emissions. They have been talking with the mayor, and on the mayor's list for RCAP dollars with Governor Wolf is the dollars to do a solar array. If that solar array is approved, and we're pushing hard for that array to be approved, that will cause a net zero emissions at this plant. As Craig White talked about, even without the solar array, this is equivalent to 7 new row homes in the city of Philadelphia. And hopefully we'll be able to get the solar array, and we'll continue to push upon the Wolf administration so that will be approved. It also is worth noting that some of the ideas that were talked about at the April 27th hearing regarding green molecules and other ideas could possibly be processed at this facility. Now today, there was an email that was sent out regarding communication. There was a long list of information that was sent out to members of council. Council members also received information from PGW. That community outreach included the fact that all near neighbors within a half-mile radius were contacted, and numerous groups were also contacted regarding this proposal. Since the beginning of this conversation, I've encouraged those who are engaged in advocacy to continue their work, and I'll restate that. I've made sure, and I continue to say, that those that support and oppose this bill, we still need your advocacy. Without the national mobilization and international strategy proportionate to the task at hand, those advancing the position that everything possible must be done to reduce the supply and demand of fossil fuels are the warning sign that we all must need to focus on to make a course correction. The merits of this project are where we differ. This project is a nearly net zero emissions project at the existing plant operated by current gas workers for a facility that should substitute dirtier fossil fuels and could process possibly non-fracked natural gas and guarantees the city money. It will desperately need to implement the transition from fossil fuels that we all agree must happen. For these reasons, I ask my colleagues to vote and support this bill.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Decker, please call the roll. Let me pose a question. Councilman, the riveting speech of yours made me lose my place. All right, let me get back to where I was supposed to be. Here we go. All right, okay. This bill has been read on two separate occasions. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Ma'am, we're going to take the vote. You had your time to speak. We're going to take a vote. Please proceed.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Greenleaf.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
No.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
No.
Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
No.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. The ayes are 13, the noes are 4. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Thank you. Mr. Decker. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 190099.
An ordinance amending Chapter 16300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Maintenance and Supervision by adding a new section requiring that all city buildings and facilities install and maintain life-sustaining medical equipment, including automated external defibrillators, AEDs, and advanced first aid kits.
Chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer amended to Bill number 190099-A. Amendment has been circulated to all members of the council, and I ask for the approval for the adoption of the amendment.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Bill number 190099A has been amended. It will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. So we have Mr. Decker. I think we need you to read title 190154.
An ordinance adopting the operating budget for fiscal year 2020.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 190154. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council. I move for the adoption of the amendment.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor of the amendment by Councilman O to 190154.
Aye.
Please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. It appears that the noes have it. The amendment to 190-154 has failed. Okay, thank you. Mr. Decker, you just read that title again. Oh, well, we actually...
Bill number 190154, an ordinance adopting the operating budget for fiscal year 2020.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Greenlee.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger. Council President Clark.
Aye. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative. The bill passes. Mr. Decker, I'm sorry, Councilman.
I meant to vote no.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Let the record reflect that Councilman O voted no. Thank you, sir. I think we already had that penciled in. Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 190290.
An ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to revise city procurement procedures as approved by resolution of the City Council.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. Question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilman Dom. Councilman Green. Councilman Greenlee.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative. The bill passes. Councilman Johnson, did you want to be recognized?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Council President, I want to move that bill number 190449 be placed on the suspension calendar.
Okay. You make a motion?
Bill number 190449, an ordinance amending Title 11 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Streets to prohibit the construction of bay windows and balconies in and around the Point Breeze and Grays Ferry areas of the city.
There's a motion to place it on the suspension calendar. Can I get a second? Been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. The bill is now placed on the suspension calendar. I believe we have one more bill on the, yes, Mr. Decker, 190413.
An ordinance authorizing the Streets Commissioner and Procurement Commissioner to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority, through which the city will assume certain rights and obligations under an agreement the authority will enter into with Waste Management of Pennsylvania Incorporated for the processing of and marketing of recyclable materials.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Greenlee.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Majority of members voting in affirmative. Bill passes. Okay, 449 is off, and I think we have 190-457.
An ordinance authorizing 1201 North Franklin, doing business as the International Bar, to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 1624 North Front Street.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
President, I offer an amendment to Bill 190457. It's a technical amendment at the request of the administration. I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Bill number 190-457 has been amended. It will be on our next session of council on final passage. Chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I'd like to be excused to attend some council work in my district, and I'd like to be recorded as voting aye on all remaining bills and resolutions.
And I think we have a couple of more amendments.
Thank you.
Aye on amendments also.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilman. Record shall reflect, Councilman. Mr. Decker, 190-458.
An ordinance authorizing Antonio Perez to construct, own, and maintain a proposed exterior stairway at 1801 North Hancock Street.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here again, I have a technical amendment for Bill 190458, and I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. The amendment is adopted. Bill number 190458 has been amended and will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 190-462.
An ordinance amending Title 11 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Streets to authorize the placement of wayfinding signs in the right-of-way.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to offer a technical amendment to Bill number 190462. Copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor of said amendment? Those opposed, the ayes have it. Bill number 190462 has been amended. It will be on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 190-467.
An ordinance amending Section 122809 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Civil Penalties and Costs by amending penalties for certain parking, standing, or stopping violations.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla. You have an amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move bill number 190467 be amended. A copy has been circulated to all members of council. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Bill number 190-467 has been amended. It will be on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 190-468.
An ordinance authorizing the Streets Commissioner and Procurement Commissioner to enter into an agreement with Covanta Sustainable Solutions, pursuant to which Covanta will receive municipal solid waste to be collected by or on behalf of the city and transfer and dispose of that municipal solid waste.
This bill has been heard on two separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Greenlee. Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson is voting aye. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reynolds-Brown.
No.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative. Bills number 190-468 has been adopted. Mr. Decker, do you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution recognizing and honoring the City of Philadelphia workers and partners for saving lives through their steadfast work and dedicated public service as part of the Office of Homeless Services 2018-2019 Winter Initiative and Managing Director's Office Encampment Resolution Pilot Program, introduced by Councilwoman Blackwell.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. That resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the First Haitian Church of God of Philadelphia on the occasion of its 40th anniversary celebration, introduced by Councilwoman Blackwell.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. All right.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing the Math, Civics, and Sciences Charter School basketball team, the Mighty Elephants, for winning the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association Class A State Championship, introduced by Councilwoman Blackwell.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Bobby Booker as the first African-American female president of the Pen and Pencil Club, the nation's oldest press club, introduced by Councilman Johnson.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Johnson? It is adopted. It is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring the 50th anniversary of Philadelphia's Public Interest Law Center for its pioneering litigation, which has dramatically advanced the civil, social, and economic rights of communities in the Philadelphia region, introduced by Councilwoman Gim.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing August 1 through 7 as World Breastfeeding Week and the entire month of August as National Breastfeeding Awareness Month in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you, Council President. I move for adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Widows Corporation, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair again recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I move for adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring June 14, 2019 as Flag Day in Philadelphia to celebrate and reflect on the importance of the flag of the United States, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you. I move for adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
All right. Speeches on behalf of the minority and speeches on behalf of the majority. There being none. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Mr. President, I would ask my colleagues to please pay particular attention to the updated memo regarding lead. And for the record, I'd like to also remind my colleagues that it took 8 years, Mr. President, for you and I to act on the bill where we merged Fairmount Park and Rec Department. It took me 30 months to secure 9 votes for the menu labeling bill, and I had 2 others down here. Bottom line is, nothing is going to happen until July 1, 2020, once the bill is passed, and because the effective date is July 1, 2020. So we're going to take as much time as we need for me to meet with every single stakeholder for as many times as I need to before I call this bill up for a final vote. I'm thankful for the votes I have right now, but it matters more to me that all stakeholders are left whole. And so we will act on this bill affirmatively in the fall. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Dom.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to invite all council members and council staff across the hall in the caucus room. Pew Charitable Trust, after this session today, is giving a State of the City briefing where lunch will also be served, so everyone's invited across the hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. There being no additional speeches, Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown for a motion to adjourn.
Yes, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, June 20th, 2019 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded. Council stand adjourned until Thursday, June 20th, 2019, 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you all very much.